Good morning, everyone. Well, welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My name is Amy Sewell, and I'm helping as service leader this morning. I want to thank today's service team, which includes Jamie, Cindy, and the Zoom choir, Rachel and Tim, in addition to the tech team, which includes Marianne Forbes, John Elliott, Josh McIntyre, and Bruce McPherson. We're not the first people on this land, nor will we be the last. We acknowledge our connection to the web of all existence, honoring the past and preparing for the future. Stewardship of the original people who lived here preserved our spot for our generation. We seek to be respectful stewards of the earth for those who come after us. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, today you're one of us and you are welcome in this house of worship. Our mission is to nurture one another, serve the community, and inspire action to heal the world. Our chalice represents the light of hope at the center of our faith tradition. Spark of the flame draws us into our time of community and worship. Blessed are we who gather with open hearts together in this space today. Blessed are we, the chalice lighters of resistance, justice, love, and faith. Blessed are we, the heretics, the outcast, the walkers of our own way. Blessed are we, the border crossers, the refugees, immigrants, and poor, the wanderers who aren't lost. Blessed are we, the transgressors and trespassers, passers-by, and cause takers, the defiant, the compliant. Blessed are we, the hand extenders, the sign makers, protesters, and protectors. Blessed are we, trans women, trans men, the non-binary, cisgender, multigender, the no gender. Blessed are we, the friend, stranger, the lonely, the hidden, the visible, the authentic. Blessed are we who rise in solidarity. Blessed are we who cannot. Blessed are we who don't. Blessed are we, for this is our beloved community, and this is who we are. Our first hymn will be number 26.
Number 26, Holy, Holy, Holy. we have not eyes to see. Only thou art holy, there is none beside thee, perfect in power, in love and purity. Holy, 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 Author of creation, all thy works shall praise thy name in earth and sky and sea. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, who was and is and evermore shall be.
This morning, unlike many mornings with our Story for All Ages, there aren't any pictures. I'm sorry. We are talking about faith this month. It's our worship theme, and I'm going to use a word that you don't hear all the time in our church this morning. I'm going to talk about the mystery of God. If you want to translate, if you want to call it something else in your heads, that's up to you. One time, when children were playing hide and seek with God, one of them found God hiding in the wind, and another found God hiding in some beautiful music. And several found God hiding in people who were building a house for people with no home. But when the game was over, they began to want something different. One of the children said, "We find God in all these different places, but I don't want to see just a part of God. I want to see all of God all at once." And the other children agreed. They called to God, saying, "God, the next time you hide, we want to find all of you. All at once. We want to see everything." Surprised to hear their request, God said to them, "This isn't as easy as you might think. Let me think about it for a little while." So God thought, "They don't know yet that even though they can know some things about me, they can never know all of me all at once. Why, even I don't know all of me all at once. Sometimes I even surprise myself. How can I help them to understand this?" And God thought and thought some more. After a while, God got an idea. Calling to the children, God said, "All right, I will hide again, and this time, when you find me, you will find all of me all at once. But be prepared for a surprise." The children jumped up and down. They were so excited, and one said, "I think God will be something like the sky at night, with all kinds of shining lights." Another said, "I think God will be like the earth, and everything growing out of it." And a third child said, "Maybe God will be like a person you can talk to." But one child reminded them, "Don't forget, God said be prepared for a surprise. So maybe God won't be like any of those things." Then God said, "I'm ready to hide now. Close your eyes and count to 10. Gesundheit. So the children did, and then they went to seek God, this time staying together. They looked and looked, but didn't find anything for quite a while, until finally they discovered a box, all wrapped up like a present. They looked at each other and said, "Could this be God? Should we open it?" And finally they agreed that they should. Slowest Christmas morning ever. Very carefully, they took off the ribbon, and very carefully they removed the paper. And then, very carefully, they opened the box and peeked inside. What they saw did surprise them. It looked like lots and lots of puzzle pieces. And then they heard God say, "Put me together, and then you will see all of me all at once." So the children began to work, and everyone helped. One piece was a loving heart, and they started with that. Next, it fitted to a piece that gave forth a peaceful, quiet feeling. And next to that, fitted a family sharing with others. Once they got the first pieces going, it became easier, and they began to work faster. They found where the new growth of spring went and where a powerful thunderstorm went. And they did find a person and the sky and the earth, though they were only parts. They worked and worked, putting in more and more of the pieces until they had put in a great number of the pieces. Then they looked to see what pieces they had left. And they were really surprised. The pieces that were left were empty. They fit in, but they weren't anything. Then they said to God, "Is this truly all of you, all at once?" And God said, "Yes." One child said, "But there are some pieces where we still don't see you." "That's true," said God. "Those pieces are where my mystery is." Your mystery? You see, God said, "There is much of me you can see, but there is always a part of me that is a mystery. This is where my wonders and surprises come from." And the children stood quietly for a few minutes, looking at the finished puzzle with the places where the mystery was, and they knew that they knew something wonderful. Then they said to God, "Okay, I guess we're ready to play hide and seek again, the old way. Will you hide for us?" "Off I go," said God. And they knew that they were going to be surprised once again. And that's our story this morning. Reverend Jamie is going to lead us in our offering.
Good morning. Oh, it's so lovely to be with you today. I know it's raining out. Thank you for schlepping all the way out here to be with us. And if you're joining us online this morning, we welcome you too, and I'm a little jealous that you're home in your slippers, I'll be honest. But it's good to be here with you this morning. Before I launch into the offering, and we're switching it up just a bit today, it's good to stay on our toes. I want to just pause and offer gratitude for Amy Soul. This is her first service as service leader. And it takes courage and bravery to get up here and share of yourself. And when she read the Beatitudes this morning, or a version, a beautiful, inclusive version, my heart leapt for joy. Thank you for being with us this morning, Amy, and for your courage. So if you want to be a service leader, we can all get up here and be a service leader. So now is the time in our service when we will receive the gifts of the congregation. I invite you to give generously and joyfully as a symbol of the love born of your commitment to this beloved community. Thank you. We joyfully receive the gifts of this community. We will now sing. Are we singing, Rachel? We are singing our children to religious exploration.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
So, our second hymn will be number 86.
Number 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then, when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Our reading this morning is The Fundamentalist Is, written by Richard Rohr. Yeah, right. Did something go quiet? There we go. Yeah. Easy to fix. Fix. Thank you for filling me in. So, our reading this morning is The Fundamentalist Is, written by Richard Rohr. As people become more afraid and insecure, they don't know how to access their own souls, move to prayer, or toward their better instincts. At that point, the easy and comforting response is to quote some scripture, some authority, or some legal principle. It takes away one's anxiety rather quickly. The fundamentalist is more than anything else one who believes that all problems can be resolved by an appeal to authority. No inner life is necessary, no faith journey, no actual experience. Someone else can do all my homework for me. I don't need to take responsibility for my own life. Somebody higher will, they seem to be saying.
not sure if you can see it, but our chalice is sending up smoke signals today. And it had me curious as I was thinking about initiating this conversation about faith. What is happening here this morning? Before I slip into a conversation about faith and the journey ahead, I want to pause and share some good news with you this morning. Good news about the vitality of this community at this moment. This past week, I attended the Transitional Ministers Seminar with Unitarian Universalist Association. It was a meeting of transitional ministers from across North America. We gathered to connect, explore, and learn what it means to do transitional ministry at this historical moment, at the axis of a devastating pandemic and the radical hope and promise of Unitarian Universalist communities becoming anti-racist, anti-oppressive communities of belonging. It was often a heartbreaking conversation at the same time as it was a hopeful conversation. At the root of this conference was a wondering about the sustainability, the durability of our faith, the future of our faith. And as I listened intently, a few things became apparent, and it feels important to share them with you this morning, especially as we begin a deep reflection into this word faith, which we inhabit over and over again. First, the exhaustion and pain alive in Unitarian Universalist congregations is creating a crisis in our movement, a crisis in our faith, as clergy leave, as congregations shrink and shut their doors, as volunteer pools become increasingly smaller. Resources are dwindling, and there is real concern about the future, the near future, and the far future. The stresses of this moment in time are extraordinary. Feelings are frayed, and it is clear that our faith, our Unitarian Universalist faith, is feeling frazzled as the impact of the pandemic transforms communities, transforms expectations, transforms the landscape of religious gatherings. And it's not just Unitarian Universalist communities. Last night, while preparing this service, I got caught in a good way in a long Twitter read from a clergy person who is resigning from their parish ministry because they just can't take it anymore. The job was no longer about serving the faith they loved, but about a personal sacrifice so great that their health and well-being as a person were at stake. The choice before them was to stay alive or leave the ministry. They're not alone. Indeed, a sermon at the transitional ministry meeting, it was described as the magic of ministry is being lost. It's disappearing into a cacophony of change and unrealistic expectations. The great resignation has indeed reached our Unitarian Universalist shores. Perhaps you join me in heartbreak as we notice surges and waves of pain in our movement and take inventory of the losses brought about by the last few years. I feel it. I cried and grieved with colleagues this week. I bet you're wondering by now where the good news is in all this. Well, while my heart was full of grief and tears rolled down my face witnessing the pain of friends and colleagues, I sat And the silent truth, I knew that in the midst of this radical collective shift sweeping our tradition, that what I witness here at the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton is something else, something that is life-affirming, aspirational, transformative, and full of possibility. It feels important to lift that up to you, to invite you to notice yourselves as I notice you, especially in the wake and ripple of a shift in our world that is significant. There is magic alive in this place. There is magic alive in this community, and although things are never going to be exactly like they were before, some things will be familiar. But the pivots of 2019 are now a new way of being. A primary job of the interim minister is to share with you what I notice. And I notice a phenomenal amount of creativity, optimism, vitality, and a commitment to the future that shows up day after day, moment after moment, meeting after meeting, connection after connection. I know you've heard me say this before, but it's worth repeating over and over again. This is a special season in the life of your community. You are a bold and powerful and brave force of change in our movement. And as I held my tears and witnessed the sorrow and pain of my colleagues, I noticed that I am gifted with the grace of being with you. I witness this as faith in action, as living on the edge of the unknown, your capacity to show up for a future that you don't yet quite see for yourselves, affirming the possibility of your collective future together. This indeed is magical. And my intuition tells me that this is also about faith. And what of this word, faith? What does it invoke and mean for us as Unitarian Universalists? It's slippery, I think, kind of a shapeshifter. And thinking back to seminary days, I have a strong awareness that this word is pointing in a lot of different directions at the same time. Indeed, when I decided rather impulsively to Google what is faith, I was delivered a remarkable range of sentiments, which is why you really shouldn't do that. I mean, it's kind of self-destructive. But I got a whole bunch of definitions, themes, ranging from complete trust or confidence in something or someone to strong belief in God or the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Okay. I struggle with this, which is why it's, really never a good idea to start with Google, but it does map out a cultural landscape. And then, because I couldn't stop there, I found myself wandering through the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It was getting late at night, you might imagine, and right into a magnificent rabbit hole of delight and definition. There was lots of practical advice, but it was a winding road, a philosophical road with no real destination. What I found myself imagining was, or what I realized was happening was, I felt like I was perched in the center of a roundabout with 8 different exit points, and my job was to give directions to every single driver in the roundabout. And this is like the definition of when you kind of step into this conversation of what is faith. There's a lot going on here. It's a matrix of complexity that feels overwhelming, and frankly, it's disorienting. And you'd think that after all those years of seminary, I would have been prepared. But I found myself clinging to Pooh Bear all over again. Now, you'll remember in December, I preached a sermon where we had a very windy day, and it was Pooh Bear that saved the day. Pooh Bear showed up again, and I clung to Pooh Bear for dear life to steady my nerves as I journeyed through this taxonomy and inventory of this word that I thought I felt something doesn't feel quite right. Where is a more practical faith? Something I can get my life around, something that is theologically open with space for thinking and feeling, a place to rest my whole being. Doesn't that sound good? Whew. We're not there yet. Sharon Salzberg, a white American Buddhist woman who defines faith in her book, appropriately titled Faith, she writes, "I want to invite a new use of the word faith, one that is not associated with dogmatic religious interpretation or divisiveness. I want to encourage delight in the word, to help reclaim faith as fresh, vibrant, intelligent, and liberating. This is a faith that encompasses a foundation of love and respect for ourselves. It is a faith that uncovers our connections to others rather than designating anyone as separate or other. This makes sense to my Unitarian Universalist commitment to the transformative possibilities of love in the world and the respect for the interdependent web of life. I finally found something I could sit next to. This also works for me because in the Buddhist frame, faith emerges in the presence of an inescapable suffering. Faith is not an antidote to suffering. It's a posture and position with suffering, with change, and the challenges of being human. Faith doesn't have to be dogmatic. It can be a source of comfort, a place of restoration, and return to what we hold most dear: love, peace, compassion, connection, and freedom. I have come to understand in my Unitarian Universalist way of being in the world, faith as a radical affirmation of something good in our lives, in our beings, in our becoming together despite the uncertainty of change, despite the guarantee that suffering will arrive. Adversity does show up, and faith can hold us. It is saying yes to the mystery of life and the mystery of relationship. And I found this again, reading Indigenous author Richard Wagamese. He writes in his book, What Comes from Spirit, "My search for a spirituality that works in all circumstances has led me to the truth that Creator is a great mystery hiding in the open. When I breathe in, I draw in the breath of all things. When I exhale, I contribute to the breath of all things. I am connected. I am joined to the channel of loving, nurturing energy that joins and sustains all of us. When I come to know that, understand it, and believe it, My life becomes the process of keeping that channel open. Creator is hiding there. Takes my breath away, even now, to read that out loud. When I come to know that, understand and believe it, my life becomes the process of keeping that channel open. We are in process. We are always becoming and unfolding amongst ourselves and with each other. And there is something happening there that is magical. In the weeks ahead, I invite all of us to explore what it means to be a people of faith, to live our faith in action, to hold curiosity and compassion as we journey with trust and mystery into the unknown. I believe this is where the magic of our collective creativity is alive. It is hidden in our midst, guiding us through uncertainty, change, and towards a future lush with hope and possibility. May we keep the channel to the magic open. May we nurture belief even when the winds of life, the blustery days, take hold. May we believe the fire of our faith in this season of change and transformation. Amen, and blessed be.
Number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing with thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Beloveds, we leave this place united in our shared faith and our journey together. And I give you these words from Reverend Krista Taves. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on in the directions we have chosen today. The light of this faith lives on in us together, in our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. Let us rejoice in our shared faith. Amen, and blessed be. Now we will have a song from Mark Miller.